So I filmed luxury real estate videos for over 5 years, and over these years I've used a bunch of different gimbals for my shoots. For this video we're going to talk about all the gimbals that I've used over the years. I've used all of these gimbals extensively on shoots and pushed them to their absolute limits. This video is going to be me giving my thoughts on all of these gimbals, what gimbal I think you should buy if you're a luxury real estate videographer like me or considering getting into this industry. Now currently I'm using the DJI RS3 Mini gimbal because it is the latest one from DJI. This would be my first recommendation for you because it's the latest and the greatest, and it's at a cheap price point as well. Obviously there is a weight limit to this one, so if you have big heavy camera setups, then obviously the Mini isn't suited for you. You'd be better off going with the RS4 Pro. This is going to be able to handle obviously your big cinema camera setups, unlike the RS4 Mini. I tend to use the mirrorless cameras rather than like big cinema cameras for my jobs. I found that with the sort of jobs that I film, camera equipment doesn't matter as much, right? I'm not DPing on some major film, right? I'm filming social media content, I'm filming luxury properties, I'm filming, interviews for athletes and that sort of thing. So that's why I recommend using the RS4 Mini gimbal. But of course I've used these three gimbals, the RS3 Mini, this one here, I've used the RS4 Pro on shoots, and I've used the RS4 Mini on shoots. Now the RS4 Pro, I will say, is a very powerful gimbal, right? But as of course, with the very powerful motors comes the very heavy setup. If you're doing very complex movements and you're having to stretch and lean and bend your back over for long days, you're really going to feel the weight of this when you shoot for it for long periods of time in comparison to the actual mini gimbals. Now, you can get the same looking footage with all three of these gimbals, let's be honest, right? I've used the RS3 Mini on some big campaigns. I've used it on some incredible luxury property shoots, and I'm getting the same shots that I'm able to get with the RS4 Pro. So to be honest, it doesn't really matter what gimbal you shoot with. What matters more, obviously, is the fundamentals around the way you shoot. So your knowledge in being able to utilize and get used to each of these setups, that's going to be way more powerful than, looking at the fucking specs and obsessing over that for every single different gimbal, right? Clients don't give a shit what camera, what gimbal you shoot with. They care about what problems you're solving for them. They care about what you're able to do to help their business, and they care about the quality of the product that you're able to produce for them. You are able to produce the same quality product with all three of these products, but in terms of how much fun you're going to have on site experimenting with gear, that's a whole different thing to talk about, right? I love fucking around with different setups as any videographer and photographer would. I used the RS4 Pro on a big shoot recently. I was filming this luxury property. It was incredibly fun to play around with. We also of course filmed a brand deal at the same time with the RS4 Pro to film that video. I did find it was very capable. The motors were very strong at handling different setups, different weights of cameras. So you're probably curious, what's the difference between these three gimbals, right? It's all about the small differences now that may make your life a bit easier. So the Autolock feature is something that is available on the RS4 Mini and the RS4 Pro. So basically what that is when I actually switch it on, if I switch it on in this position, it will automatically unlock all the axes and align it so that it's ready to shoot. So that looks like this. I'm just going to hold the power button and switch this on. You'll notice that it aligns itself perfectly without me having to unlock each of the axes. And if I switch it off, hold the power button, it goes back to that position. So I love this feature, right? It's so fucking convenient. It saves so much time when you're filming. And this feature is available on the RS4 Mini and the RS4 Pro. RS3 Mini does not have this feature, so that's something to keep in mind, right? The RS3 Mini is a little bit lighter than the RS4 Mini and a lot lighter than the RS4 Pro, but it is missing that auto lock feature, and the motors are definitely not as powerful as the RS4 Mini and the RS4 Pro. Now all three of these have horizontal and vertical mounting. The RS4 Mini and the RS4 Pro have a quick release option where you can quickly release and switch from horizontal shooting to vertical shooting, which is quite cool. Doing that with the RS3 Mini obviously takes a fair bit longer than the Pro and the RS4 Mini, so that's something to keep in mind. The RS3 Mini is obviously the cheapest of the bunch. Then the RS4 Mini is a bit more expensive, but it's newer and it's got the auto lock feature. And then the most expensive is the RS4 Pro. If you have a heavy camera setup, then it'd be worth it to obviously purchase this one. But if you're shooting with lightweight mirrorless setups like I am, then maybe it's better to consider the RS4 Mini. So these are the three gimbals that I've used recently. I've also used the DJI RSC2. I actually used the DJI RSC2 gimbal. I used that for around 3 years consistently, and I found that that was a really good gimbal. And the DJI RSC, I ended up selling the RSC2 because I don't need it with the amount of gimbals that I've got at this point. The actual original RSC I still happen to have, and this actually came in like a carry case, and yeah, I haven't used this in years, but it's still sitting in the studio just collecting dust, so I'll sell it at some point and get rid of it. But over the years, the gimbals have only gotten better, right? The RS4 Pro is the most capable at this point. The RS4 Mini is arguably the most fun to use, especially with the intelligent tracking module it's got on here now. But overall, they do the same thing. It's more a matter of personal preference at this point, you know. I obviously use custom gimbal settings to film my luxury real estate videos, and I've got that video on my course Gimbal King, which will explain how to dial in all the correct custom gimbal settings to get the smoothest possible footage for luxury real estate videography. If you want to check out my course breaking down exactly how I shoot and edit my luxury property videos to charge over $2,000 per video, then check the link in the description. I'll leave a link to my course. If you want to get more knowledge from me on how to build a videography business, check the link in the description as well. I'll leave a link to my email newsletter. With the email newsletter, I send out an email every single day for 30 days straight, giving you free information on exactly how to get started in the videography industry, how to build a portfolio, how to get the right connections, and also some valuable business knowledge on how to operate as a solo operator or a small team. So feel free to check those two links in the description, my email newsletter and my course, and thank you so much for watching this video.